Hi, it's Don at Tapestry Music in Vancouver, 2705 Main Street. It's our new location. Got to come check us out. I'm here with my friend Conor Stuart, professional violinist, instructor at Douglas College, and working on doctorate at UBC. Fantastic player, and I thought that we could talk together about what you want to look for when you're shopping for a violin. There are different levels of violins. If you're just getting into your first full-size violin, you may have different expectations than you do after you've played for a while. So, hi Conor, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you very much, Don.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Glad to have you here. So let's talk about what we have here. So this is a VL80 Eastman, sort of an introductory full-size violin, manufactured in China. Pretty consistently made. I mean, if you get a VL80, they sound like this and they look like this. A few subtle things that you can see just cosmetically about it. I don't know if you can get that in the camera here, put it maybe here. The way that the finish works around the edges, it's quite glossy and thick, and they just don't spend the time hand rubbing the finish. It's a manufactured finish. It works well, and it's quite strong. So it's good if you're not going to take super good care of your instrument. Other cosmetic things, it's a lighter colored finish, two-piece back. Show the back of it over here maybe. It's nice wood, it's maple back.
You can see the join line right there.
Exactly. Very shiny, very glossy again. But it is a full-size violin. And again, if we look at the front, we can look at the bridge. So this is the bridge. And on this violin, it's a millimeter and a half, maybe even 2 millimeters thick from top to bottom, front to back here. So it hasn't been terribly finished. They didn't put a lot of hand work into setting this up and making it a really fine instrument, but it gets the job done. You want to play some on this and show people what it can do, and maybe what we might want to look for if we're outgrowing it a little bit.
So this is sort of a, as Don said, it's when you're starting out, sort of a beginner instrument. And when my students who are just starting out show up with their first violin, I'm not too worried about, having the most expensive thing. It's not really appropriate in a lot of cases, but what I'm looking for is, like Don said, that the bridge here at the feet, that it's properly fitted to the violin. Sometimes you get like those $100 Amazon specials, and they give you a blank bridge like this. And you can see that the feet are just flat here at the bottom. You put that on the violin, it will slide around, it won't sound like anything. It will play really terribly. And so
let's see what it can do now.
Yeah, I'll play just some basic, beginner stuff that you might be learning on this. You hear how it has a good sort of basic serviceable sound. Especially here in first position. Where instruments of this sort tend to run into trouble is as you get into more advanced repertoire. Now you're getting into here. You hear how as I push it in that register, the violin just doesn't quite have the oomph. It's made from sort of less expensive materials. That sort of more mass-produced finish isn't, and the cheaper wood isn't all really up to the job.
No,
but you can tell that when it plays well, the string height here is nice and comfortable. It's all fitted properly. The bridge is in a good spot. The angle of the bridge is correct, so you don't run into bowing trouble. I'm playing here with a very inexpensive carbon fiber bow. Everything works, and to get started on an instrument, that's what you want. You would just want everything to work. Oh, and tuning pegs. They move easily. Fine tuners work. Do you hear how no matter what tuning I put it to, it's holding pretty steady?
Yeah.
Again, with those sort of $100 Amazon specials, the pegs aren't fitted properly.
Exactly.
And so you run into enormous trouble. Your violin just won't stay in tune. It's incredibly frustrating. You get to your lesson in a week, and the notes are incredibly far off.
Absolutely.
And so then I see my students, why does it sound so terrible? I'm having so much trouble. Your pegs aren't holding.
No, exactly. It's a funny thing with a violin, the ebony wood or whatever hardwood they use here, going to maple. There's special materials for lubricating it that we use when we set up a violin professionally. If it isn't there, then it'll just get stuck in place, and some people think that that's a problem with the violin. It could be, but it also might just need maintenance. So if you ever run into issues with your violin not turning easily or not staying where it should, bring it into a professional and get them to look at it. You can see, as an example of the cheaper woods of the violin here, the grain of this violin is very coarse. So that's probably younger wood on here. I guess this would be probably spruce on top. That's quite a wide grain. The older woods that cost more to use for violins because the tree has to have grown longer have a finer grain, more dense, and they tend to be superior for working with violins. We'll come back to that one in a little bit to show the differences in bridges and bridge materials. But if you want to step up a little bit from that, we can go up to this model. This is a VL305, if I recall, by Eastman.
Yes,
It's
305.
it's a good example of a step up violin. These ones, for example, are rentable for 30-ish a month in Canada from our stores. If you're getting up to this, then you're going to be spending a fair bit more, and the purchase price of this violin is getting more into the mid thousands, like 15, 16 area, maybe a speck more. These guys are what, 7 or something like that? Did we say
600-700?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're just starting, I often suggest to my students, rent to get started, build up your rental credit, and then you can save up for something nicer as well when the time comes.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
let's play something a bit more advanced on here just to show off what this can do in comparison. You hear it just has a fuller, more dynamic sound
And
throughout
as-
the whole thing.
Yeah, and as you go up the fingerboard, it just sounds richer and more intense. It doesn't sound weak.
Yeah, let me demonstrate that.
Yeah.
It's got some much better clarity up there and much better response than the more inexpensive starter instruments.
It does. It also has a more interesting tone. This sounds like a violin and it's loud and works. This sounds more like I'd hear on recordings, for example,
Yeah, it's just got more body to the sound.
It does, for sure. And it also has a much more beautiful finish. This is an attractive violin. You can see the finish, the ribs, which is the side, and the back are gorgeous looking finish. And the top even, which is generally the less attractive piece of wood, generally being spruce, is still beautifully finished and a much more dense grain. The grain of this violin is roughly half the thickness of half the width of the cheaper model, and it makes a huge difference. That shows that they're using old wood for that. If you've been playing that for a while and you want to get into something a little more serious, like if you're actually making money at the violin and you want to invest a little bit, the raw beginning of modern violins is when you get above that. Sort of the next level, the beginning of the next level is this one, which is distributed by Eastman. It's a Ivan Dunov 401 violin.
Yep. For this one, I'm going to switch to a slightly nicer carbon fiber bow. Same brand, just one of the higher end models.
Nice.
Again, it's an Eastman Cadenza, I think the line is called.
Right. What do you think of the bows affect how you play, but do they affect the tone that you get out of the instrument too?
Absolutely. Actually, let me demonstrate that. I'll play just a quick scale here with this inexpensive bow. Sounds fine, nice and clear. It works.
That's warmer and richer.
Exactly. The sound is just broader across the whole spectrum, more top and more bottom.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's hear the fiddle more now, yeah.
You hear how it, on that, speaks very crisply, nice and quick, good balance across the strings. It's got a little more, I think, it's a sort of a similar sound, but it's got a bit more punch.
It does, it does.
Than some of the lower end. And again, a lot of that can come down to the quality of the spruce.
Absolutely.
Used for the top, is that, you know, the makers have to know what they're doing. But if you use really inexpensive spruce, it just won't have that same possibility for power.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm also curious when I look at these, let's see. So the position of parts internally, we don't even ever get to see on violins. There's a bass bar that runs down the violin, roughly under the G string, roughly around this long. And it's just inside this F hole. And it's a piece of wood that's underneath that's partly structural because there's something like, I forget the amount of pressure on it, but it's equivalent, I heard someone describe it as the equivalent of a 10-year-old child standing on the violin. That's the tension from the strings on the bridge.
It's roughly about 50 pounds.
50 pounds, that's
when
insane.
you add it up
yeah.
across the 4 strings.
Wow, that's nuts. So there has to be strengthening underneath the wood, underneath the top. So the bass bar is there, but it also serves a purpose for tonality. It's different than it is on the treble side. The treble side has a sound post, and we'll talk about those a little bit. But I could show you some internal pictures afterwards as well. But the bass bar on some cheaper instruments tends to be quite close to the edge of the violin, but they aren't always. Sometimes they're a little sloppier about where they place it because they're not being picky about the relation to where it's going to be on the bridge. With the better instruments, they're very, very picky. And you get closer and closer and closer, generally 1 millimeter, even less. And it'll have more strength, but also more ability for the top of the violin to move musically. And that's why you sometimes also see different shaped bridges, because the bridges have to extend slightly outward of the internal components, the feet of the bridge. So when you do that, and you look at different violins, you can't judge the quality, but it is a sign that they've put the time in to measure carefully and even check on the grain of the wood what's going to be best for each violin. So yeah, very fine violin, sounds very nice. If you want to get above that, we do have other levels of violins. You can go right up to 700, 900 series by Eastman, and there are other makers, of course. They're all very good. And when you get to the very expensive violins that are made in China, you're talking $3,000, $4,000 violins add up. And cellos and stuff are much more expensive. If you're going to start to get into that much money, you can do that, and you'll have a good instrument. But you can sometimes start to look into other options. Luthier-made instruments or antique used instruments sometimes are a really interesting way to go. And we do have some at the store here. I thought maybe we could take a look at some of them.
Sure.
We could start with this one. So this would be kind of a good step up from that. This is, you can tell them a little bit about this violin. I believe you know.
So yes, this is a German violin from around the turn of the 20th century here.
Yeah, we're a little before that.
And from the cottage industry in Markneukirchen and Schönbach, it was called at the time. Nowadays it's Lübí in the Czech Republic border, but back in the day it was German-speaking Bohemia.
Exactly.
So this was just like China and Romania today, historically this was a major center of mass-produced violins. And so, well, it's a 120-year-old violin or so.
Yeah.
And so this is...
And it's built off of a Mattis
Yes.
Designs, right? So,
Yes.
and I believe the older generation of them, right?
Yes, an Amati model. And some of these German violins have sort of random labels stuck in that don't have much to do with the actual shape of the violin, but this one actually does look genuinely like an Amati model. So if I hold it up here, the arch here is a little bit taller.
Yes.
It's a little bit scooped in comparison to some of the flatter sort of Stradivari and Guarneri ones. And it's got a slightly different shape to the F-holes. Can you hold up the Eastman one here?
Yeah.
This is more of a Guarneri style here with these long, sort of pointy F-holes. These ones are a little more sort of rounded.
Yes, exactly. And this is quite a bit of a thinner instrument. A lot of theories are a flatter, less rounded instrument may project well without as much difficulty in making it project well, but may have a different type of overtones that some people like more, some people like less. This might be a little more of a complex tone.
Yep.
Maybe won't project as much, but let's find out.
Well, you kind of have to try every instrument on its own merits.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these higher arched ones can really surprise you, and you'll see. I don't think this has any particular lack of power. It's got some good body to the sound. If I go up here on the G. Nice and clear.
Yeah, very nice.
And it's got quite a round sound, I would say,
Absolutely.
throughout it. Very smooth.
Yeah.
Very playable.
And this is, as long as it's been well maintained or has been well repaired, because older instruments are always going to have some sort of damage. In this case, this has been completely professionally restored and appraised, and is a very fine instrument. And you're getting up into the between $5,000 and $8,000 range for some of these violins, but they're a violin that you can play forever and know that you're going to get a good instrument out of it. If you ever exceed this level, great, there are other options, but that's a big investment. And the more, like with cars, the amount of money you spend has to be almost double each time to get some sort of noticeable difference, but it's not double the difference, right?
Yep.
So with a violin, you're going to spend something of several $1,000s. They're all individual, so you all have to try them out and see what's best for you.
Yeah, those last sort of $10,000, $20,000, like with cars, that's your Ferrari or your McLaren out on the racetrack is where you're going to notice that. But if you're, driving your Toyota to the grocery store every day, are you ever going to see what that car can do? And not really,
And
right?
it might not be as good in the city, actually.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, let's take a look at a couple more. From there, we can move on to...
Why don't we look at this one right here?
Yes.
This is a really interesting one.
Yes, this is made by a Vancouver luthier. It's a modern instrument, and it's a step up from that one, and I think that's appropriate.
So what is this one going for? 9,000?
Yeah, I think like maybe 8.5, 9. Yeah.
Yes. And so some really nice choice of wood here, very visible, straight flaming here on the back, nice figure on the wood, and nice clear transparent varnish, good spruce here on the front. Looks like he's using a Stradivari, I would guess a PG mold here.
I think so. He said that he made some small adjustments to it himself based on some of his preferences, but that was the starting point
But
probably.
you can see with this model, you have these sort of, in the C-bouts here, this slightly squarer shape than some, which is very just characteristic of Stradivari's style.
It is, absolutely.
And these really balanced looking F-holes.
Absolutely.
And it's visual, but it's just, that's how Stradivari did things. And if you're going to copy it accurately, it should look like this,
It should
right?
look like that, yeah. And the wood that he uses is old new stock. It's roughly 150-year-old luthier wood. And it makes, again, a big difference. Very high quality wood. Similar stuff that that one could have been made of. But a modern violin. So let's see what this can do.
Yeah, so this has quite a lot of body to the sound. Very clear in comparison to some of the sort of lower end options.
Yes, it loses the cloud over the sound.
Yeah, one of the things I like about this violin, I'm going to play a different excerpt. And here in the mid-register, there's a lot you can do in terms of variety of color. And when we start getting into this price range, that's what you're looking for, is a violin that can not just has a nice sound, not just plays well, has power, but you can really explore different options, different colors. You can get this sort of very foggy sound here. You bow close to the bridge and it's very crisp, very powerful, and it has a really different sort of, there you get that brash, trumpety character.
Yes.
You've got that sort of sticky tone in the middle. And just on that one register of the D string, you see how much range I have
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
vary the color here. Got a nice clear projecting E there.
Yeah, it cuts through well.
And up here in the G string, it's, you know, sounding good in that register.
Absolutely.
Sometimes on these better instruments, you will notice that there's a wolf tone right in that register, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it
but this violin doesn't really have much of one, which
No.
is nice.
It is. There are solutions to that. If you ever
Yes.
do have a violin where certain notes sound wrong or different than the rest, there are simple solutions to that. In the violin department, let's take a look maybe at this one, just to show a different level. This is made by an Italian-Canadian luthier about the later, I think 1980-ish area. And he's quite a renowned builder. I believe that's a one-piece back on this.
Yes.
It's the first one we've seen, I think, with a one-piece back, I believe. And I mean, you know, it's not necessarily better or worse, but it is often a sign of someone who's a master builder, because it is, I think, more difficult to work with. This is definitely a professional level violin. I mean,
Yes.
they all are in a matter of opinion, but this one truly is.
Visually, what stands out to me on this one is the varnish. And this is a very traditional orange varnish over the golden ground. On the back, you can in places see the ceiling coat.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is a
Multi-layer.
very sort of, reminds me a lot of 20th century Italian work. Some of the, you know, Poggi and so on, those makers
Yep.
who are now really valuable. But this is a very similar sort of style, a very straight, no antiquing to the finish.
No.
Just a very clean one, but it's, you can see its age. It's starting to get some nice picturesque, little bit of patina here on the back.
It is. It's very nice.
But let me give this one a go so you can hear its tone.
It's interesting. So this one almost has a somewhat of a viola quality to its tone. Very warm, very thick tone, and you can get various tones out of it. Maybe a little less versatile than the one you were just playing, but it is a very distinctive voice.
Yeah, this has the most sort of complex sound out of the lot of them. And at this level, what you go for is as much a matter of taste as anything. Some people favor quite a bright, focused fiddle that will be a little neutral to cutting,
Yeah.
so that they can cut through. Some people like a more warm, blending sound, it depends on what you're doing. If you're the second violin in a quartet,
Yeah.
you might want a different sound than, you know, you're going to walk out and play Brahms in front of a giant symphony orchestra.
Absolutely.
Or you need just that to get through.
It actually makes me think it would be a wonderful chamber music violin as well, either position, but certainly like
Yes.
something where you're going to be blending, but you need the opportunity to solo and deliver. You can certainly do that with it, but its natural voice is just this thick, filling tone. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so when I play in the mid register here, there's just a lot of body to the sound. Once again, that register works. There's not really any difficult notes. You can work with this.
Yeah, I don't think it has a bad wolf at all. Well, now since we're talking about the thicker tones, why don't we take a look at a viola? This is by the same maker. At the end of the video, I'll post. We can post the information about each instrument as well.
Yeah. Now, this is an instrument I really like.
Yeah.
With violas, the thing is, there is, unlike the violin, you can see how these are all more or less the same size. The full-size violin is what, 350 to about 358 millimeters
Yeah.
from here to here. There's not very much difference, and often it's more like 353 to 355. So there's 2 millimeters difference.
Yeah.
And so the full size is very predictable. With violas, it's definitely not like this.
No.
You can have a full-size viola anywhere from 15 inches to even 17 and a half, some giant monsters.
Yes.
And
if I recall, I'm
So-
trying to remember what this one is. So this is, I think it's a larger viola, but it has a slightly shorter scale length, I believe, due to the design of the tailpiece.
I believe this is a 16-inch back here, but like Don said, the string length as it's set up is a little bit shorter,
Yeah.
which means that the stretches to reach your notes are quite a lot more manageable. So in some ways, for me, a violinist who only moonlights on viola, this is a very, very comfortable instrument.
Yes.
You can hear how the C string has a lot of power and clarity, but still has that viola sound. Often you get one or the other.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
get a really clear C string that sounds like a violin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you get a really muddy C string that is very hard. It has that viola sound, but it's really hard to make it go.
And unlike a lot of, non-super expensive pro-level violas, it's very even across all the strings.
Yep.
Yet it seems to highlight the best features. When you get up to the A string, you can really deliver. You can deliver on any of the strings, though. It's unusually good for the money, I would say.
Yes. It's really got that viola sort of characteristic tone there in the mid-register.
Absolutely.
And if I go into the slightly up on the A string, nice and clear, but it doesn't really sound very violin-y.
No, that's
Which
exactly
some
what I was about
violas
to say.
will.
On all the strings, a lot of people talk about how much they love playing viola because the C string is amazing. Of course it is. It's the obvious thing. But the tone of the A, D, and G should be different sounding than they sound on violin, give you a different feel when you're performing. It makes different music.
Here, let me get my shoulder rest off.
For sure, awesome, thanks. makes a different style of music focus, which is wonderful. All right, and I think that's good for looking at the violins that we have as a general idea. We should take a look, though, at setting up a violin and what to look for, and maybe what a bad setup would be like. You were mentioning earlier about like bridges and having the feet, lined up well so this. We're gonna just do a little bit of setup work on this, anti-setup work on this violin. We'll start here. I'm just going to detune it a little bit to release some pressure on the bridge. And now, a typical classic issue with violins as they come from stores or whatever, you'll get it misaligned a little bit because as you tighten the strings up, the tension of the strings pulls on the bridge and moves it in a funny angle. It's difficult to tune it right now because I don't want to have the bridge pop out of the funny angle it's on. One sec. Yeah, like that. One sec, I'll just fix that. And this is why it's sacrificial. Okay, go. So I'll tune it, put it like that, and bring it up to pitch and watch the angle.
As Don tunes it, you can see that the bridge has moved quite a bit north of the F-hole notches here. So its alignment to the post inside the violin is now going to be quite off.
All right, welcome to your Amazon special.
Yep. Well, look at that bridge lean there. Way off. You can see the marks where it's actually supposed to be in the varnish.
Yeah. So you can make it work, but the effort involved in making it work is tremendous.
I'm having to really dig in here to make it go. And the sound is just sort of scratchier and fuzzy in a bad way.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't really go for it, it just doesn't want to come with me. It's not grabbing the bow. Yeah, you have to really wail at it to make that G string do anything.
For sure.
So if you're learning, this is gonna put you in incredibly bad habits.
So now
right
I'm going
from
to
the get-go.
now I'm going to set the angle correct. So the back should be 90 degrees. The side that faces the violinist when they're playing to the top of the violin. It's pretty close to that now. But I'm going to leave it in the wrong position. So right now, it's, hand me a bow. Thank you, sir. So right now it's set up about a centimeter almost, too close to the nut. So I'll find an A. Okay, so we've got our A. So if I play the octave, you find where the harmonic is. It's the exact halfway point of the string. If you press that down, you should find out if you're in tune, if your intonation is correct. So those sorts of things are one way to find out if your position of your bridge is wrong. If you're tuning all strange as you go up the violin, you play harmonics and it seems like they're in the wrong spot, it's probably the bridge placement. I'm shortcutting this job. There we go. And it's a little bit crooked to the left, towards the G string side. Oh, it's a speck crooked this way. Certainly don't love this bridge, but it's going to work. All right. It's getting closer. Still a little bit too close to the fingerboard. Bring it back a little bit. All right. Now, probably should have done that here. So I'm moving the bridge this way and that. All right. It's a little bit too close on the G string side, but we're getting closer. Now the E string side works. So those sorts of setup details make a big difference in how violins should sound, the tuning, the tone you get out of it. And there's more to it than that, because we also have the sound post inside, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute. But with the sound post, it has to be at a certain position and a certain angle. Make sure I can see the violin as I work on it here. So with various sound post adjusters, don't try this at home, but if you have someone handy who knows how to do this stuff professionally, you can do amazing things. A little bit different. So I'm moving the sound post into an inappropriate angle. It's about 2 or 3 degrees.
And how did you just adjust the position there, Don?
So the position of the sound post inside is roughly around here, just towards the violinist of the E string side of the bridge. The edge, there's various math that has to be lined up at the same distance from the outside as the bass bar is, as a starting point. But they can be adjusted depending on the sound of the violin. But the tools I'm using are various tools. Various tools allow you to grab the post, or you can stick the sharp point of these guys into the slot that's in the side of the post, and it's a wooden post that moves and is held in place with friction. And then this is a hammer designed specifically to hit the sound post. So it sounds violent because it's an acoustic amplifier when you're hitting it, but you're actually not hitting it hard. It's a twist of the wrist, carefully protected with tape so that you don't scratch the finish. And hear that nasty vibrating sound? It's because the violin is no longer, the sound post is no longer flush to the top and bottom surfaces of the violin. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if I play that same excerpt back that we played way back when, first trying this. That E string, the middle strings haven't changed a lot, but that E string is really...
It's thin and scratchy.
Yeah, it's not sounding very good. It's not very happy. We've kind of overdone the bass of the violin.
Exactly.
It's a little boomy, it's a little sort of boxy at the bottom end now.
Exactly.
And the E string is just gone, and as you're learning that beginner repertoire, you're going to wonder, why can't I play on this string?
Yeah, that was 2, maybe 3 millimeters of adjustment. It's a very small adjustment. It's a big adjustment among violin repair people and setup folks, but if you're looking at this and you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to be able to tell. You have to have that professionally adjusted and set up by someone in the business. Always makes a big difference. Yeah, and last but not least, let's see what happens if you've got your Amazon special and you don't know what to do when you're given a bridge that looks like this. A basically unfinished bridge. Without the correct slopes on it. There you go, there's an action for you. I'll put it in the right spot and everything. I won't bother with the sound post adjustments though. Yeah. Whoops. If you want to pause for a sec, I'll put on an E string.
Actually, We could leave it.
Let's leave it.
I mean, that's part of the issue, right?
That is part of the issue. What do you think?
Well, let's leave it there.
The feet are nicely uncentered on that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see here that the height of this is just ridiculous. It's way too much. If I look here, this is going to be unplayable.
Absolutely unplayable.
And yeah, we lost our E string because it was too much stress on the poor little E, and you're never getting it up to pitch.
Nope.
You can, if you look
It's
at the
all crooked,
feet,
but-
you can practically see the bottom of the violin through the feet. And so all that string weight is focused on one small point of the bridge.
Do one quick adjustment, because if you try to play this, it's going to pop right out. It's at such an angle. There you go. Perfect.
And so if I go play this now, ooh. Bleh.
And you can't even play the D string because the curve is wrong, right?
Exactly. I play D, I'm basically hitting the A almost no matter what I do. Oh, listen to that. We've got a wonderful little buzz there on that note because the vibration is trapped in the bridge and is not making it into the body of the violin, and bad stuff is happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is why ordering violins through mail order from a store is one thing who do this as their jobs, but from Amazon, mail order retail, etc. Good luck.
Yeah, you're really gambling, and you know, like at the casino, the house always wins.
Exactly. But if you do that, and you end up with a violin that's like this, bring it into a professional repair person, and any one of us can certainly set it up and make it as playable as possible under the circumstances.
I mean, give it 10 minutes and we can get that bridge and that sound post right back where they were, and this one will be sounding just fine again, right?
Exactly. I'll actually do that right now. We can do a quick video speed up of this. That's more like it. Let me just line up the bridge a little better now I've got tension on it. Okay, I think we have a setup that's like new. What do you think? It's just more or less how we started?
Pretty much. That's the difference a good setup can get you.
Yeah.
That E has some ring, it has some body, now it's playing very nicely.
Good.
Even all the way up there.
Yeah, within the limitations of the instrument. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, I think this has been really informative and helpful. Thanks for going through the violins with me and the viola. That was beautiful sounding. We should wind this up for today. And you get in touch with us anytime to talk about violins. You can call us up. My name is Don. We have a staff full of trained musicians here. We sell, we rent. We also consign violins, violas, cellos, double basses. So yeah, we obviously do setups. And if you have questions and you just want to call and ask or email us, please feel free. That's what I'm here for. This is Tapestry Music in Vancouver, 2705 Main Street. My name is Don. Come check us out, tapestrymusic.com. Check out all of our links, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.